Are listening to the Focused Fork podcast, and thanks for being here. My name is John Hoff. Today I want to talk about how do you navigate those social events that you might be going to? Because if you're not careful, these social events, when you're trying to lose weight, they can kind of derail you. And for a lot of people, it's like you've gone so overboard that you're just like, all right, forget it. I'm going to figure it out next week, next month. I can't, it's too hard, and I'll just try again later. And we don't want that to happen, right? What we want to happen is have a little bit of flexibility in our life, to have a little bit of fun in our life, and not let this whole losing weight thing make our lives miserable. And so let's look at how can we kind of navigate that, because it can seem a little, it's the best way to put it, just heavy, like having to lose weight, like heavy in your mind and difficult to do. And it's hard and how to deal with it. It's like this big weight on your shoulders. We're having to figure it out while at the same time having a life that you want to enjoy. And a lot of times we see, other people eating these foods and doing these things, and they don't have to go for the extra walks to lose the weight. But why for us is it different? And there's a number of reasons, obviously, that could be the reasons why some people can eat, it seems like, 2 double cheeseburgers and they don't gain a pound, but we do. And I guess that's a little bit beyond the scope of what I wanted to talk about today. If you are curious why sometimes it's harder, then go back into the podcast here, the earlier episodes that I have, somewhere between, I don't know, like number 3 and number 12 or something. There's a couple podcast episodes there where I talk about why losing weight gets harder over time, and like the next time why it's harder losing weight, and a couple others that will kind of answer those questions for you. But today we want to talk about like client dinners, business lunches. If there's like a family gathering, a birthday party. We just had a birthday party just yesterday. Actually, we went over to my mom's house, and there was a family party there for my nephew's son. And there's pizza there, and you can eat really to lose weight. Let me tell you something. You can eat pizza and still lose weight. There are people who do it. There are people who eat pizza and lose weight. Me personally, I try not to eat pizza because I've kind of moved on from not just having lost the weight that I wanted to lose, but I'm looking at the quality of food that I put in my mouth that I eat and consume. And that's, I think, a great place to transition to. And we all have a lot of different reasons for why we want to lose weight. I wanted to lose weight because I wanted more energy and more focus. I wanted the brain fog to go away. And then, I kind of started also thinking about how in my older age, I wanted to live a healthier life and still be able to go and travel and do things and not be where, I'm just not in great health, even though I'm alive. So I'm doing my best for that. But in the beginning, if we are trying to lose weight, then it's really important not to try to do everything. Some people can, and if that's you, wonderful. Most people that I've encountered or who I help who are on a busy schedule, okay, and they, their Google Calendar's filled up and they got a lot going on, it can be hard to also jump into the deep end and doing all the things, weight loss, and be able to stick with it long term. And the great news is, and I keep saying the great news, there's always great news. There's always positive news, right? There's always the good side of things. And I like to look at the good side of things. And the good side of things is that really there's only like about 10% of things that will push that needle 90% of the way there, right? And so let's focus on some of those things. And one of the biggest parts of that is going to be the quantity of food that we're eating and consuming. Not always quality. Sometimes quality will matter, absolutely. But if you really look at the biggest factor there, yes, looking at the kind of food you're eating matters, but let's look at how much food you're eating, because you can overconsume healthy food and not have the weight that you want. Would you not agree with me on that? Yeah. So let's look at how can we kind of navigate some of these social things that we go to and not let it derail us. The first thing I want to mention here is that it's super important to understand that it always comes back to you, all right? Even though I'm a weight loss coach, even though I can teach you things to lose weight, ultimately, being out in the world, you need to learn how to deal with situations out in the world. And that usually means your internal struggle that's going on that you need to deal with. What are the thoughts you're thinking? The feelings that you're having? Is this really feeling so difficult that you can't figure it out? Because if you keep thinking that, then that's what your reality is going to be. But if you keep telling yourself, I can figure it out. I can figure it out. I'm getting it. I've tried these other things in the past. I'm going to empty out the glass of water and I'm going to pour in the new fresh water, right? And we start looking at things from how we think and feel, starting there. Okay. So that's the first thing, is just realize that it's super important to be able to kind of self-coach yourself in a lot of these situations and just really think for a moment. I can point you in the right direction, but you live your life. You live your life and you have to figure it out on your own. So here's some of those pointers, those things that I said, kind of poking at you at. So the first one that I would like to say is, start planning ahead the best that you can. I've said this before. I will say it a million times. When you're trying to lose weight or get healthier, the last thing you want to do is be confronted with the situation where the food is looking back at you and you're rushed and you have to make a rash decision. And on top of that, you're also maybe tired, or you're stressed, or you're angry or emotional in some kind of way. So in other words, maybe it was a very stressful day at work, a long day at work. Maybe you worked I've done banquets and I've done triples. And I mean, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you're at work all day. And then you're tired and you come home, and trust me, the last thing I'm going to do if I'm working a triple is to come home and create some kind of masterpiece of the most healthy food in the world and take 2 hours in the kitchen to make it and everything. That's the last thing I'm doing. If we can plan ahead, that's what I was trying to say there. If we can plan ahead when we are more focused and we have the energy and we know I have a busy day ahead of me, and after work, we're all going out to dinner. Or after work, we have soccer practice with the kids or karate and all these things that we got to do, and I'm not going to have a lot of time. Then think ahead. How can I plan this a little bit so that I don't just get faced with, okay, now it's time to eat. What am I going to do? Because that's when the decisions that you want to make probably aren't going to be the best decisions. Would you not agree with me on that? So if you can, if you're going to a restaurant, see if you can look up that menu ahead of time. Or maybe it's been a place that you've been before and you know it already. Wonderful. Think about what you can have ahead of time. And if it's somewhere that you go often, you could even create yourself a little cheat sheet. I love cheat sheets. But create yourself like a little cheat sheet. Okay, every time I go to the Cheesecake Factory, here's my options. When I'm wanting to stay, good and I want to save maybe some of the, for example, okay, let's say you have a birthday party after this, and then you have like the next day, there's a birthday party. And after that, there's another thing and another thing and another thing. It's perfectly fine to have, I don't like to say cheat meals because we're not cheating on anything. You're not on a diet. When you work with me, you're not on a diet. You're simply learning how to eat a proper amount of the food that you're already surrounded around and how to fix your thought process so you're not mentally beating yourself up in the head every time. But one meal isn't going to, in the long run, hurt you or harm you in any kind of way. Now, over and over and over again, it will. And if you're having days that are like that, then you can't have every day being that one cheat meal, right? Again, I don't like using the word cheat meal, but I'm just using it because I think you kind of understand what I'm talking about here. It's where you let loose a little bit. So you're going to have to plan ahead a little bit, and you can create yourself like little cheat sheets. I go to these places often. Here are the things that I can get and do that are more in line with the way that I want to eat. Now that can still be a cheeseburger from McDonald's, but maybe it's not the double quarter pounder with large French fries and a large soda and a 6-piece chicken nuggets. Okay. Kind of like what I used to do way back when with the McDLTs. I don't know if you remember that. The McDLTs, if you're Gen X, you probably know. Or I suppose baby boomers, but they had the hot side and the cold side, and I used to eat 2 McDLTs, large French fry, 6-piece chicken nuggets, and the extra large Coke. I ate a lot of food. Now, you take that and you say, well, okay, well, what if I have, just a regular quarter pounder? What if I have a small French fries, and instead of a soda, I have a water? Would you not agree that, okay, you still went to McDonald's, but you're consuming less calories? So there's always a way, all right? So you can do that. You can also, decide, that's kind of like portion sizes, decide on like portion size that you're going to have. Again, we're not wanting to just wing it when you are tired or anything like that, because that's when those bad decisions you're just like, screw it, just give me this thing. I just need to eat. I need to take my mind off this stuff, and I just need to move on with my day. So now here's a question that people ask, and also I see some people suggesting out there on social media, and I want to caution you on this one, okay? And that is, should you eat something before you go to that place? So here's an example. It's the birthday party yesterday that I went to, and I knew that there was going to be pizza there, and I knew that there was going to be cake, and it turns out there was donuts there as well. And honestly, I don't really eat too much pizza. I had some when we went on vacation here just recently, and it tasted so good. I hadn't had pizza in a while, and it's fresh pizza. It was really good. But I just personally don't eat a lot of it, and I really don't eat a lot of ice cream and donuts and stuff. But I know I'm going there. I know that those things are going to be there. So here's the question is, should I eat a meal before going there? And then when I get there, I'm kind of satisfied. I really don't have an appetite. I'm not hungry for eating that right now because I'm full. I've had enough. Okay. So this one is where you have to look at you. All right, because this is an example where I can't give you the answer. Some people I can tell that to, and they could be like me. I can eat a full meal before going over there, and then when I get there, I can easily say, I don't need any of that. I'm full, I'm good, I don't need to eat any more food. That's not what I want right now, so I can skip it. There's other people, though, who I can give that same suggestion. Well, why don't you just go ahead and eat some protein and some fiber and whatever, eat a meal before you go to this party. And they'll eat the meal, and then when they go there, they'll also eat the donuts and a slice of pizza and maybe some cake or ice cream or something. And at that point, we're really kind of shooting ourselves in the foot because now we're eating a lot of food. We're eating even more calories. So it's not really the thing to do. And then there's kind of the people in the middle. You eat the food before you go over there, and then you go there, and then maybe you have half a donut or something, and then you're good. So you have to kind of self-monitor yourself. on that. You can test, should you eat something before you go? And is that going to help you to eat less? Or you just like, when you see it, you have to eat it. And if it's on your plate, like if somebody gives you, oh yeah, here's a slice of cake, and it's a big slice of cake, you're not the kind that can just eat 2 or 3 bites. You have to clear the plate. If that's you, then maybe that's not the best way about going about it. All right. And in that situation, if you are not able to eat before you go, then I have some coaching to help you through some of the mindfulness, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So, okay, another one would be really careful, really freaking careful of drinking your calories. Let me give you some examples of how drinking a drink, like some beers or iced tea or something that's sweetened, totally can just like derail your whole weight loss thing, even though you're thinking you're doing good because you're eating the kinds of foods that you're wanting, right? We always talk about in losing weight and weight loss, we always talk about food. When few people out there who are like myself, who also like to talk about mindset kind of stuff, which is probably, I would say, is the most important aspect of it. But not a lot of people talk about the liquid calories. Okay, so as an example, let's say you go out to, I like to say the Cheesecake Factory because that's where we go. But 3 beers. 3 beers can be anywhere from around 450 to 600 calories. I mean, that's equivalent to a small meal. And that's just 3 meals. And, if you're like me, you can drink 3 beers pretty quick when you're out to dinner. So you have to be very careful about the alcohol. What about like soda? A lot of people like sodas. Well, 2 glasses of soda when you go to a restaurant, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'll take just like a Coke or something. Well, 2 glasses of soda can be somewhere around 300 calories, which is like a hamburger. So if you're getting a hamburger for dinner that night and you drink 2 glasses of soda, then it's almost like you're consuming 2 hamburgers. Or a margarita. A margarita will be somewhere around 300 to 500 calories. That's like a freaking slice of cheesecake. I looked online. I went online. I was like, how many calories in a cheesecake just in general? And, I did that earlier today in prep for this podcast. And I think it said somewhere around 400 calories. So one margarita is like having another freaking dessert. Or iced tea. A lot of times, I talk about iced tea. Now, unsweetened iced tea is really the best route to go if you can. You can put some lemon in it or something. But 2 sweetened iced teas can be somewhere around 300 to 400 calories. And again, that could be a slice of cheesecake. That could be like eating an extra sandwich or something. So when you go out for food or when you're at a party or something, or if you're at a banquet event or you're at a conference, be mindful not only of the food, but what you are drinking, because those liquid calories, they will get you. All right. All right. So another one that you could do if it's like a holiday party or something, you could maybe bring a dish, right? And maybe you've heard that one before because that's a pretty common one. Hey, if you're going to a party and you can't control the food that's there, maybe you can ask the people, hey, can I bring whatever it is that you like eating? Can I bring my potato salad or something? And then you can bring that. Or can I bring some chicken? I want to make some chicken breasts or something. But that's one possible idea on being able to do that. You could decide like in advance what you're going to eat for dessert, because a dessert is a big one for people. It's sometimes like if you go to a Cheesecake Factory and you want to get a cheesecake. Well, their cheesecake list, if you've ever been to the Cheesecake Factory, is like a mile long on how many different cheesecakes that they have. So can you plan ahead on how you're going to navigate this whole cheesecake thing going to happen? But plan it, like I said, when you're not tired, when you're not stressed, when it hasn't been a long day. Plan it ahead of time if you can, and know beforehand when you go there. Another thing would be to make sure that you're properly hydrated, because if you're a little bit dehydrated, that sometimes can kind of manifest as being hungry. Like you feel like you're hungry and you're looking for food, but in reality, your body is really just looking for water. And a perfect example of that is, think of like a watermelon. Watermelon is like mostly water, right? There's a lot of water in apples. There's a lot of water in food. And your body knows that. You might not be thinking that in your head, but the fact is there's a lot of water in food. And your brain knows this. So it's going to be looking for hydration if you're not properly hydrated. And it'll take it in the form of food. It'll take it in the form of a beverage. So make sure you're properly hydrated, and maybe that will help a little bit with making sound decisions. All right. Another one that I really encourage you to consider here, that I'm willing to bet most people aren't doing, and that is visualizing. Okay, visualize you going through the motions and navigating them successfully. Just think about it for a moment. I think that if you think about what you know about rehearsing things in your mind, I think that you probably know that is something that's beneficial. If you close your eyes and you just think about, let's just say, learning how to hit a baseball, what would you do? You would visualize yourself hitting the baseball every time, right? I know that they've done studies with athletes, where athletes, when they're not actually out there doing the thing, football or swimming or something, when they actually visualize themselves doing it and they feel like they're really there, that's part of the thing, is you can't just imagine it. You have to actually feel into that emotion like you're really there. Then they actually get better. They've even done studies where their muscle has gotten bigger by imagining lifting weights, which is freaking crazy. Your body can do that. The mind is that powerful. The trick is, like I said there, though, when you visualize it, you have to believe it. Because just think about inside your head for a moment, okay? Inside your body, I should say. Your brain, well, first of all, a lot of times we see these things in the outer world. And when we see the things in the outer world, then it comes through our eyes, it hits our brain. Our brain then makes some kind of informational thing about it. It organizes it, it considers it, and all of those things then create a feeling inside your body. And that feeling sparks the emotion, and then your reaction, your genetic expression, and all those things all react based on that thing that you saw outside in this world. Now, if you notice what I just said there, most of it all takes place internally, doesn't it? So if you close your eyes and you imagine the thing that you want to happen, and then you start really feeling it and believing it, that same emotional response can happen. And you didn't need the exterior stimulus, whatever, to make it happen. So visualize yourself going to that conference and the buffet that's going to be there. How are you going to act at that buffet? What are you going to choose? Visualize yourself when you have a busy day and you travel a lot for work. How are you going to handle that day? And how are you going to feel during that day? And play it out and rehearse it in your head over and over again. And I promise you, you'll find that you start becoming more like that person. All right? Okay. So another one then, so that was kind of like planning ahead. So the other one would be when you are there, the actual act of consuming the food, you need to be mindful about what you're doing. All right. Mindless eating is a big factor that can happen in over-consuming food because you're just not paying attention. Oh, you're talking with Bill and Fred and Jill and you're just eating and oh yeah, we're eating food and we're drinking this and all this stuff. And before you know it, you've consumed a bunch of extra things that you probably really didn't need to consume. So if you want to know how to eat more mindfully, then that is my free course, my friend. I have the 3-day mini course that you can sign up for at it's focusforkreset.com/free. And you take that free course on day 2, I'll talk about a little mindfulness that's kind of derived from some ancient wisdom. And it's going to help you learn how to eat a proper amount of food. Again, I always go back to weight loss is about eating a proper amount of food based on the amount of movement that you do in your day. Now, eating that proper amount of food, I'm telling you right now, is going to take a lot of mental work because you've probably been eating the way you've been eating for the last, 49 years if you're me. I guess maybe after I was done being a baby. So 30 or 40, 47 years or something. But anyways, so yeah, take my free course and I will show you how to eat mindfully. And I promise you that is going to help you when you are out in social situations and you don't really want to look like you're on a diet. You don't want to look like you're trying to lose weight and everything. How do you do that? I will show you in that free course. All right. Now the link will also be in the show notes. So eat mindfully. That's a big thing. Slowing things down. Don't eat too fast, and give your body time to realize that, you know what? Maybe I don't need to eat more food. Maybe I'm good. I'll show you how to do that. All right. And then number 3 under this part here, I put dealing with social pressure. So, there's a lot of social pressure when you go out and you're in a group environment. And I always go back to when I had lost too much weight. If you know my story, if you listen to episode 1 of the podcast, I ended up losing too much weight because I really went in too deep. And I lost, not only did I lose body fat, but I also lost muscle. And I remember there was somebody who told me, geez, John, it looked like I need to give you a hamburger or something. And while, they probably were right back then, at the time, I was just like, okay, whatever. And the thing is not everybody can kind of do the whatever thing. A lot of people, when they get bombarded with that, and I mean, I hate to say it, but women especially, people will say that there's like different expectations, I suppose you could say, or judgments that people make difference between like a guy and then a woman. And it's really not fair, but it does happen. And it's easy for me to simply say, whatever, I don't care. You can say whatever you want to say. And not a lot of people can do that, both men and women. But if you find yourself in that situation and somebody's like offering you something that you don't really want to eat right now because it's not really on the plan that you had for the day, right? Very simply just say, you know what? I don't want any right now. Okay. Instead of saying I can't. If you say I can't, then that kind of opens up a can of worms. Well, why can't you? Oh, you're on a diet. Oh, you're trying to lose weight. Oh, well, I mean, this one little chocolate's not going to hurt anything, right? They don't know you. All right? They don't know they don't know what you ate earlier today. They don't know what your plans are for the next day. They don't know if you eating that chocolate's going to throw you off course and everything and send you down this rabbit hole of just binge eating and stuff. So, you know what? Just instead of saying I can't, you just say, I don't want any right now. And then you kind of just move on with your day. All right. All right. So, there can be pressure like with drinking alcohol. Everyone's having a drink. Join us. Why don't you have one? And maybe you're not wanting to have some alcohol right now. Then, you just tell them, oh, thanks. I'm kind of sticking with water tonight, but I can still have a good time with all of you. I'm good with the water though. Or maybe, look, I'm not a liar. All right. I don't like to lie. But maybe in this situation, if you really need to, you can give a little white lie and you just say, oh, I have a little bit of a headache starting. And if I drink alcohol, it's going to make it worse. And then I'm not going to be able to have fun with everybody. So I just need to drink some water or some tea right now. And maybe if it goes away, I'll have some in just a little bit. All right. Or maybe you just say, if they're all offering you alcohol and you want to pass right now and you don't want to get into all of it, say, maybe in a bit, I'm going to eat something first and then maybe I'll have a little bit. And then you just don't get back around to it. You just kind of skip it. All right. So, just remember that it's okay to have some flexibility in your life. And if you do go out to this social event, whatever it might be, if you want to loosen up a little, just remember that it's okay to do that. You don't have to be on this really strict, rigid diet that you cannot veer away from. The key here is that whatever you do, make the next thing you do back on track with what you're wanting to do. And do not beat yourself up over, I shouldn't have had that. I shouldn't have done this. I suck at this. And you go down that rabbit hole of suck. Because if we do that, then that's when you just start not caring anymore and you just eat whatever and you just kind of give up for a while. And there's no reason for that. All right. One little change in plan, one mess up, if you want to even call it that, one night of going out and just eating and socializing with your friends and just trying to eat a little bit mindfully at the very least so you don't overconsume whatever it is you're consuming, it's all good. It's all good. Don't let it derail you. Just try to learn from it. What could I have done better? When you're done with it, this is something that I like to help clients with is like, okay, if something happened that wasn't on track for what you were wanting to do a reflection. All right. Do a reflection worksheet. And what happened? How was I feeling? What was the situation? How could I have acted a little bit better? What could have I done a little bit different that was more in line with what I wanted to do? We all make mistakes. We all aren't perfect. And we all can learn from our past, right? Okay. So a little bit of flexibility. It's okay. Everything will be okay. The only way it won't be okay is if you don't let it be okay. If you let it throw you off your rails and just go down a whole, bad week or something. All right. Okay. So that kind of does it for this episode to help navigating you through like some social events and everything. There's always more tips that I have on this. So check out the podcast, check out some of my stuff on social media, Facebook, Focused Fork, also on Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. Choose the one that you like using the most. And I've been thinking about actually, if you are on Facebook, I've done a lot of Facebook stuff in the past and I've had a number of followers in the past, but when I rebranded myself it was called Losing It with John. That's what I first started. I thought it was kind of funny. My wife came up with it, Losing It with John. But I decided to change the name to Focused Fork. And then I created a new Facebook page and now I have no followers. So I would appreciate it if you are on Facebook, give me a like my page and follow the page. I'll put a link in the show notes to it. And it's basically, the Focused Fork. You can find me, John Hoff, Focused Fork on Facebook. If you are on there, I'd really appreciate a follow and stuff. And then, always message me and let me know what you thought about this podcast and any topics you'd like me to cover. I would love to talk about them. I want to hear from you and everything. And with that, remember, you can learn a lot more from me if you are on my email list. All right. I will not give away your email to anybody. It's safe with me. I hate spam just as much as everyone else, but I will send you my free course on losing weight without going on a diet, how you can do that. I think it's really helpful for people who are like myself, they have a busy schedule, they travel a lot for work and everything. And, how do you lose weight without being on some specific diet? Because you want to be able to eat at restaurants. You want to be able to eat, if you wanted fast food, you want to be able to eat in front of people and not look like you're eating like a rabbit or something. Check that out. It's focusedforkreset.com/free. And I'll give you guides. There'll be some worksheets that you actually work through. I'll give you some cheat sheets. It's an actual course. It's not just a couple free videos that you're going to watch. I'm actually going to teach you something and have you work through something so that you get better and you can start losing weight without this whole diet nonsense and stuff. All right. So I'll see you there, and I will see you next time here on the podcast. Thanks for listening.